504 of Regulation D promulgated under the Securities Act of 1933. Gold mining is a high-risk business. All investing in securities involves risk. Purchasing this stock may result in the total loss of your investment.
The Legacy. Southern California's KCAA, the #1 talk radio station in the Inland Empire.
Live from the studios of KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, the CNBC Financial News Network in sunny Southern California, home to the dream of the California lifestyle, welcome to Julie Talks Money, where money is the subject, experienced experts are our teachers, and financial literacy, freedom, and having your lifestyle of choice is our goal. I'm your host, Julie Phelan. Thanks for joining me today. So each week, my expert guest and I will bring you fun tidbits and a bunch of clues, hot secrets, and strategies on how to save more money, make more money, keep your money, and possibly double or triple it safely and legally. Whether it's the truth behind fixing and flipping a house, to the new technology that's changing our wallets, or how you can make sure to have enough money for your kid's college or your retirement, I hope you'll find fun and fascinating information as Julie talks money with experts in real estate, stocks, budgets, assets, loans, and importantly, big fat piggy banks. Now, today I'm going to be addressing specific topics relating to housing in what's considered the greater Los Angeles area, which includes LA County, Orange County, Ventura County, and the Inland Empire counties of San Bernardino and Riverside County. I've got a fantastic guest here in studio with me who will talk to us about what he has done to increase his net worth through real estate investing and through building teams, and what he sees as the future direction of real estate investing and helping address the housing shortage in Southern California, while also helping people who need a place to live and helping people maximize their home or investment property for a good return. And at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to call at 323-238-9277. But first, I always like to start out with some tidbits and little pieces of info that I think that are fun, but also relevant to our talks. So first, I'm always asking people I meet about what they're most concerned about or what they want to learn regarding their financial life. So here's a shout out to a young couple named William and Haley, who are some new listeners in Burbank, learning about finance for their lives as millennials. I'll talk about their concerns a bit more at the end of the show. First, some market info. So do you ever feel like unemployment or the unemployment numbers don't seem to apply to you? Well, maybe that's because the government now includes anyone who works more than 2 hours a week as employed. Really? Get this. For the government, people are considered employed if they did any work at all for pay during the week of the survey. This includes all the slashies we talked about last week, like Uber driver / dog walker / babysitter. If you do that, part-time or temporary, or even lawn mowing, and if you're also an unpaid family worker working without pay for your family business or a farm, then you're considered employed. Of course, it also includes full-time salaried and hourly workers, but which one are you? And do you feel really employed? Well, you could always get a job at Walmart. I understand now their managers are making $175,000 a year. So Walmart published recently, but still their hourly work is more in the range of 10 to 12. Well, you could be like a shrimp in England. In quality control tests recently, every freshwater shrimp tested in the UK tested positive for cocaine. No idea why, but they sure do slim like mad. The Avengers Endgame movie has made over $2 billion at the box office worldwide. It's the fastest to get there on record. I guess every country loves its superheroes. Lastly, in a survey, women were asked, which would you prefer, a 4-day work week or a 20% raise? 62% would take the 4-day work week. I don't know if they have kids or not. That might make a difference, which they choose. Anyway, I'm going to move on. My guest today is Stephen McKee, and Stephen is a co-founder of the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, and also has been an investor quite a long time for himself, his own portfolio. I think you did primarily flipping houses to begin with, didn't you?
For the last 15 years, mostly fix and flip, yes.
Oh, 15 years? You've been in it a long time.
Yes.
You must have started very young.
Totally by accident. I like to pretend that I got into it on purpose, but I ended up getting a job as a driver at a title company and this guy kept coming in, and he was picking up giant checks, and I was dumb enough to ask what he did, and it perked my interest.
Wow. And then after that, did you work with him, for him?
No, so what was weird about that transition, I'd worked in title, and sometimes, I often say, like, sometimes in life, being nice just gets you somewhere. So in title, they always have a person who answers the phone and tends to answer questions. A lot of times people with the trustee sale, they're buying at auction. So if you know what the trustee sale is, if your house goes into foreclosure, goes to trustee sale, and an investor goes and pays cash for the property. Well, they have to take it like with everything, all the liens, encumbrances, and when they're down there, sometimes things come up that they weren't expecting, and they call title and say, hey, I need you to give me all the liens. I need to know what I'm buying. Well, they had hired this girl for this position, and she was really rude, and nobody liked her. And I was terrible at the job, but I was nice. So I had been in the job for a month. They kicked me out, replaced me with her. And then after like 3 months, they said, we don't care. Just get rid of her. Bring back Steven. We'll teach him. And so trial by fire, I got trained.
That's funny. What did you do in your previous life, as we call it sometimes?
I guess, okay, well, you mean prior to that? Wow.
Prior to that, right. Prior to
so
real
I
estate.
guess what really got me into anything, not having a job, because I was like, I waited tables, and because that was it. That was 20 years old. So, but I had already had 20 jobs, I think, by that point, because I quit often. I'm not really employable. So
I understand that.
right? At some point, you just can't go back, right? So,
but up until that point, you're making ends meet. Maybe you're a student, and maybe you're just trying to get money for your car.
Yeah, but that is really what it is, right? It's like when you're that age, you're just worried about your car, especially if you live with your parents, which I did.
Or dating. You don't have money for that.
That's the only thing anybody cares about at that point. And then it's at 21, you're like, can I buy beer? But
millennials are no different right now.
that sounds like that age period. But I'd worked in multi-level marketing. So there was a company at that time called 2x2.net, which was like everywhere. It was basically like Amazon before Amazon. It was affiliate marketing, and you had this mall that you sold. And so you gave people discs like AOL did, and they loaded this and created a homepage for them that was very similar to what became, I think Yahoo had this page with a bunch of images on it, and you'd click it and it would take you to these certain places. Well, 2x2 had this mall, and they basically just collected a bunch of affiliate pay. But it was also multi-level marketing where like you sold membership and you got paid when you brought people in. And we got shut down.
What do you mean by affiliate marketing?
So by affiliate marketing, so if anybody's ever, focused on internet traffic, they have this link and essentially a website where if you click a link, you get paid for sending traffic to them, and if there's a sale, you get paid for that, and there's multiple levels of ways to get paid by driving traffic. It's actually, it was pioneered by the porn industry, and then eventually ended up becoming that. It's really where it came from. Was the internet porn industry sort of created this, and then it moved into real life, I guess.
Products.
Products. And now Amazon is like the king of, essentially of affiliate marketing, right? Everybody has these links, and they get paid when they send somebody to Amazon to buy a product. So that was like the early stages that were just a big box, and you just clicked on it, and it had the name of a department store, and you clicked on that, and you bought from their company, like Nordstrom or whatever. They sent you a check.
Very nice. And that's actually one of the side ways of making money that we're going to be talking about in another show.
Oh, awesome.
Another point. It was very cool. It is something that is a little bit more passive. You don't have to do quite as much, right? But you have to have the web presence.
Yeah, I think it... I'm not an expert in that field at all, but I definitely say it's one of those things right now that's a hot item that everybody's selling courses on, and I'm a little... I know it's a great business if you know what you're doing, but not everybody should be a business owner.
That is true. We're not going to talk too much about the courses and stuff. So I think that we need to take a little break here, and we'll come back and talk to Stephen McKee a little bit more and talk more specifically about the real estate and your investing career and what you're doing. This is Julie Talks Money, KCAA 1050 AM radio.
If you want to sell your home, any agent can put a sign in your yard. Which agent is going to actually sell your home for the most money? Well, it's Rudy Kasuma. Rudy will sit down with you. You agree on a price and a deadline. If the deadline passes and the home isn't sold, he will buy your home guaranteed. If your house doesn't sell, Rudy will buy it as is for a price acceptable to you. Rudy sold a home in the San Gabriel Valley for $22,000 over asking price after only 10 days on the market. Call Rudy Kasuma now, 855-RUDY-SELLS. That's 855-783-9735. Or go to rudyhasthebuyers.com. That's rudyhasthebuyers.com.
We all know money doesn't grow on trees, but you can grow your wealth every Saturday at 11 a.m. with Julie Phelan. Julie and her guests have a wealth of knowledge to help you gain more wealth. Your financial future can be bigger than your past. If you need to build fast cash or passive income or long-term wealth, each Saturday at 11 a.m. for Julie Talks Money, right here on NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And now on Alexa, play KCAA.
And we're back. Welcome to Julie Talks Money here on KCAA 1050 AM radio. And I'm here in the studio with Stephen McKee, who is a very experienced investor and flipper and also co-founder of the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. And I'm a big fan of clubs, and I want to talk to you about that a little bit later. Okay. But when we left and went to the break, you were talking a little bit about how you sort of fell into real estate investing in the beginning and the marketing. And take me through a little bit more of what you did, because my understanding is that you focused on doing fix and flips for quite a while.
So, much like a lot of my career, it seems like it all has happened by accident. My business partner, Todd Baer, and I, we used to share books when we were kids. So one of the first books was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then we read Multiple Streams of Income. We were like 17 at the time. And he was picking up these books because he wanted to, he was creating a computer building business, right? So he was looking for business books at the time. I was not interested in any of that. I was barely passing school. Actually, I don't think I was at all at the time.
Rich Dad Poor Dad has been kind of the Bible and started millions of people into investing.
No, absolutely. It's like this staple mindset shift book, right? And so because my mindset had sort of shifted that time, I kept going down that road. I read like No Money Down for the 2000s, Richest Man in Babylon, like a whole bunch of these books that people sort of read in the beginning of real estate investing. And I went to go work for an agent as her marketing person when MySpace just came out. And so I was focused on like the internet marketing side of real estate.
You're looking for a real estate agent, you're saying?
Excuse me, yes. Yeah, she was a retail real estate agent, and I was her like assistant / online marketing person.
Okay.
And so this lady walks in one day and she says, "I want somebody to buy my house." And I'm like, okay, the book says when somebody says that to pay attention, right? I'm like, what do I do now? And I said, I'll do it. And I just raised my hand and said, I'll do it. And it was
without any idea how.
No clue. No. I was just blind, ignorance on fire, right?
Okay. I like that phrase.
It's the perfect way to start this career, because the truth is you can never know all the pieces. So
very true.
I mean, it's impossible. So I went to her house. She was in a very unfortunate circumstance. Her husband had passed, and he had left her a $60,000 federal tax lien. Oh. She had an option to buy the property. If you don't know what an option is, it's sort of like a bet. You put money down saying, I'll buy your property for this amount of money within X amount of time. And I could buy her option from her because she couldn't exercise it. She had this tax lien, and she couldn't say, I'll buy the home, because she couldn't get a loan, and she didn't have any cash.
Okay.
And the property was in deplorable condition.
Definitely having a problem.
Yeah, and there was like a series of them stacked, and then the seller was an issue because the seller wouldn't later. It was in litigation. So we blindly took it over. Again, total ignorance on fire, right? I blindly took it over with the litigation in place, whatever, and me and my partner bought her out, and my partner was very experienced at the time. It was my brother's old baseball coach that he had bought, I think, 50-something properties subject to the existing loans and flipped them in the 90s.
Oh, thank goodness he was experienced.
Well, yeah, that's the only reason I could do it, right? You have to have a really good mentor, I think.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, and so like the weird part was that we went through rehabbing the whole home, and we didn't even own it yet. We just had bought this option out, which wasn't even assumable. And again, stupid. All this is dumb. This is terrible advice. Nobody should ever do this. Like, I'm just telling you my story. It's the worst way you could possibly do this. And we got lucky. She had to leave back to her home country, and she couldn't make the court date, so she settled and agreed to, the seller agreed to let us buy the property, and then we made a huge profit. We made like $130,000 profit on the first deal. And once
That
you,
would be addicting. That's a very nice profit.
yeah, it's a great way to send yourself down in flames as quickly as possible.
All right, if you think that you could do that each and every single time.
Yeah, so I proceeded to do just that. I bought multiple properties in 2006, and if you do the calendar math there, yeah, I think I went under with like a 1.3 million in property, and I lost about 300 grand in cash in the next 12 months. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely got caught in the crash, didn't you? In a big way.
Well,
Big
if
way.
anybody, were you buying property at all then or around?
I
that
was,
time?
yeah. I went through the same thing and had a foreclosure, and it was one that was dual tracked. I got the foreclosure at the same time I'm negotiating the short sale with the bank.
Yep. That's
Crazy stuff.
That was and for 2 years there was like the wild wild west, right? Between 07 and 09. And all that stuff happened. And you know, the day New Century went under, if anybody remembers when New Century mortgage went under, was the day the market basically crashed. Nobody really talked about it till 2009, but March 2015 was the day the market officially crashed because no one could get a new loan, right? And which means people ran out of options. And I went through 4 to 5 escrows on every property I had with willing buyers, just that they couldn't get a loan. And so it wasn't that there wasn't a buyer, it was that the industry cut them off. And so people
Yeah, it was a very frustrating time.
yeah, it was tough. So after licking my wounds for a while and doing BPO work, doing broker price opinions for agents for during the foreclosure crisis, and just doing retail sales as an agent to investors, I finally got back up off my butt again, and in 2009 started buying again for myself. Started flipping and then continued to flip all the way until we just stopped in November.
Is that when you paired up with Todd?
So I've known Todd since I was
Flip, or-
11. So
Oh my gosh.
we've always done something together back and forth. What actually is a bit of a segue, but it's got a point.
Okay.
Todd, and I'm trying to be as succinct as I can, but Todd, me and Todd would get together and we'd build this spreadsheet. And if you go to the trustee sale or you bid on the MLS, you really have to like create a system that works really quickly, because doing the math by hand takes a while. And we built this spreadsheet that was just this big grid, and on the left-hand side it had all the purchase prices, or I'm sorry, the resale prices, and across the top it had all these categories, and it was basically like a way to just go down and to the left, and it would tell you what your bid price was. It was like this big chart, all the way up to $1 million.
But that was on Excel.
That was in Excel. It was
So that was using technology to help you make quicker decisions. Or good
yeah,
decisions.
yeah, absolutely. And it looked a lot like the old, the old interest rate sheets. You like go down the mortgage amount and then to the right and tell you the
Amortization
payment.
table
yeah,
or something.
Yeah, and so we'd print it out and take it with us. It was this 3-page sheet we'd just take with us everywhere, and we could get on the phone and we knew what we'd pay. So we'd been working on this sheet for years together, like just finding problems with it, fixing it, finding problems, fixing it. And then Todd's pretty darn good at Excel. So like he'd start, like we get into these weird loops and all these functions. And eventually we found this way to make it really simple. And then in 2008, I started helping his family buy property. And then we started sort of joining forces. And eventually by 2013, we're like, okay, we should just do everything together.
So is that when you really hit it hard as far as buying property to fix and flip?
We started actually Rehab Loan Group at that time. So we started a hard money firm. And we were on the lending side of it, but we had all of the fix and flip expertise. We'd been both fixing and flipping up to that point. Todd had been holding a bunch of rentals. I was flipping. And then at that point, we merged into like this knowledge base with hard money lending. But if you have a lot of talent, that's a thankless business, because you don't make a lot of money for all of your skill level.
Very true. I've been a hard money lender and broker for the last several years, starting with mortgages, regular conventional mortgages.
Sure.
Got into that, and hard money and having to run those numbers is a very different thing.
They
You
rely
definitely
on
have to have
you.
the skill set. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to explain. So when did you start? Well, I understand you're a private lender now too, a little bit, no? Or
So
you're still buying?
I
buying
organize
buying halls?
capital. We have a large pool of investors that I would partner on, but we're not doing that anymore. I would put up capital, but until as of November last year, we're just not buying in California at all anymore. For the last 3 years, we've been really heavily fix and flipping and joint venturing people. And then once the financials didn't make sense, once the risk of the market turned, we're out.
What have you seen in the change? And especially if it's been has it been more in the Inland Empire? Has it been all over LA County or Southern California, I should say, the LA area?
So if you have you read Ray Dalio's book, Principles?
No.
Okay, so if anybody's looking for a ridiculously pithy book to spend far too many hours reading, that's a good one. But the idea in the book is creating a method in which you could duplicate over and over again and backtest, and that the system will always work. So his is based on stocks, sort of seeking alpha. Bridgewater Capital is the largest, I think, private equity fund in the world. So we did the same thing. We took the data, the MSA data, Metropolitan Statistical Area data, and we built a sort of 5-point check system to figure out when the market has gone on tilt. And what we're looking for is true affordability. And everybody uses these weird percentages and all these like assumptions and 280 charts. And the math isn't that difficult. If the median buyer at the median income, at the median size home, can't afford to buy what is currently listed at the median price, you're done. Well,
And you're talking about a regular retail buyer who wants to be a homeowner, wants to buy their own place.
Yep.
Not
So
a rental investor. Okay.
as of today, LA jumped the shark over a year ago. Orange County not far behind it. I think actually might have been a little ahead of it. San Diego, I think earlier on 2018, and Inland Empire jumped the shark November 18. Jumped the shark, if you're not, it's a media term, means like went out of realistic boundaries.
Right.
So
taken from an old Happy Days episode.
Yes. Okay. So you know the reference. So once the average or the median buyer in the Inland Empire couldn't afford to buy the median sized home at the median price, we knew that the risk increased too much. It's not that the market's going to crash tomorrow. It just means that we've left the risk profile that we're comfortable with.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because there's so many people that I see that are constantly either getting into some program that they're spending $20,000 for, and everybody's just saying, "Oh yeah, go ahead, you can buy this." And I still see a bunch of what we call bandit signs out.
Yeah.
Work with my team and learn to flip houses. And I think personally that it's just you can't really do it because you're not going to be able to buy it right. People are still not moving off the dime on what they think the property is worth. It's hard to buy it at the number that you need, especially because the market, I think, is changing, is going down a little bit. You're seeing that.
I haven't seen that statistically. And we saw a one quarter, I think, offset tick. I'm not confident we've seen an adjustment, or enough of a reason to see an adjustment. But I definitely, for me, buying anything to hold or flip right now was a huge risk. I couldn't see it. Even if the market's going to continue for another 5 years based on lending changes and whatever, it's just not worth it.
Well, I tend to disagree with you a little bit on the holding and the rental properties, but we'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to take another little break here, and then we come back. We'll be talking a little bit more with Stephen McKee about what he is doing next. Stuff. You're listening to Julie Talks Money on KCAA 1050 AM radio, and phone number 323-238-9722. That's 323-238-9722.
If you want to sell your home, any agent can put a sign in your yard. Which agent is going to actually sell your home for the most money? Well, it's Rudy Kasuma. Rudy will sit down with you. You agree on a price and a deadline. If the deadline passes and the home isn't sold, he will buy your home guaranteed. If your house doesn't sell, Rudy will buy it as is for a price acceptable to you. Rudy sold a home in the San Gabriel Valley for $22,000 over asking price after only 10 days on the market. Call Rudy Kasuma now, 855-RUDY-SELLS. That's 855-783-9735. Or go to rudyhasthebuyers.com. That's rudyhasthebuyers.com.
We all know money doesn't grow on trees, but you can grow your wealth every Saturday at 11 a.m. with Julie Phelan. Julie and her guests have a wealth of knowledge to help you gain more wealth. Your financial future can be bigger than your past. If you need to build fast cash or passive income or long-term wealth, each Saturday at 11 a.m. for Julie Talks Money, right here on NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And now on Alexa, play KCAA.
And welcome back to Julie Talks Money. This is Julie Phelan, your host, and I'm here at KCAA 1050 AM radio with my special guest, Stephen McKee from the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, as well as Back Porch Homes, and now you have a new venture, I understand. So you were talking earlier, before we went to the break, about how things don't necessarily make sense for a fix and flip because of the margins, the median price, and affordability. One of the things that has been talked a lot and addressed in the market and on the news is the lack of housing.
Yep.
So I understand that you guys are doing something a little bit different now and have changed your business focus and your business model to help address that through, is it tiny houses you're doing?
Absolutely. So the ADUs have become like the talk of the town, right?
ADU meaning?
Accessory dwelling. Thanks for the jargon flag. Accessory dwelling unit, right? So for us, like the ADU market makes a ton of sense if you have liquidity, meaning if you have the cash to build a unit in your backyard. And
is that what an ADU is? And it goes attached to a regular house or a home lot?
For anybody who's not bombarded with the Facebook feed, not bombarded with like the recent Amazon tiny home thing, and I mean, at least that's what's in my feed, right?
I thought it was only me getting that.
It turns out us real estate folks get a lot of weird stuff. An ADU is essentially an addition to your home, whether attached or detached, and it has a minimum maximum square footage based on local building code. It's anywhere from 400 to 700 square feet. And then up to, I believe, 1,500 square feet, depending on your local jurisdiction. And you can add that square footage without the city basically being able to say, like, no, you can't build that. The state has sort of said, hey, look, we need more housing. You have to be able to build the second unit, and it'll be considered part of your original dwelling, not a like a duplex.
And so you don't have to have the same kind of building permits and things for building an addition onto your house?
It requires the same building permits. It just wouldn't require, let's say, a conditional use permit or a change of zoning that would be the barrier to, let's say, building a duplex in an all single-family resident neighborhood.
So like all the people who have converted their garages in the past, legally or illegally, with or without permits, or have put something into the back or changed a pool house into a rental, that's something that can be done now much more easily, right? Or legally?
Yeah.
Or
so it's funny. Legally and easily seem like two different worlds right now, right? So legally, definitely. Easily is the question, which is sort of the preface for Back Porch Home. So there's a couple things that get in the way of people building an ADU. One is liquidity, right? You either don't have enough equity in your home
to pull money out?
Pull money out to build it, or you don't have the cash on hand. Right?
Okay.
And if anybody remembers Section 1 loans from the 90s, there was a loan that was a zero equity FHA loan that you could get to do upgrades to your home or put a pool in. Those are since gone. So Dodd-Frank, for those of you not familiar, Dodd-Frank is a 1,100-page sweeping bill that changed the entire lending industry.
True.
and if you're in the investment side, we're collateral damage, right? The investment world, we unfortunately have there's a little too much overreach on our side because we're not dealing with retail. And that prevents people from getting loans on their primary residence to build these ADUs. And so, which is why we're only seeing like a couple hundred or 1,000 ADU permits in Southern California, or a couple hundred per city, a couple thousand per county, instead of like tens of thousands of them.
What's the cost if somebody wanted to build one?
So our cost of building right now is around $110 a square for an addition, $110 a square foot.
Okay.
And I mean, I know in LA County it's up to like $240 to $270 a square foot.
Good heavens.
Yeah, and especially like we had a project on the west side in Pacific Palisades that was almost $300 a square foot. So that's a very expensive addition, and it better be worth the upgrade when you go to resell or to rent. So a back porch home, in our case, it's a tiny home, and tiny homes are an RV. It's a tiny home on wheels, which means it's a trailer with dual axles, with stabilizer jacks, and essentially a granny flat, a casita, whatever you want to call it, an ADU built on top of it, which means we don't have to comply with any of the regulations of housing except for municipal code. So if you think about it right now, in California, I can start a manufacturing company. This is what's legal currently. I can start a manufacturing company. I can sell that. I can build a tiny home on a trailer. I can sell that tiny home to a consumer. I can finance it because we're going to hold the paper and finance it for the end user to give them favorable terms.
You hold it yourself? You're holding the paper? You finance yourself? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do $3,500 down and $439 a month. That covers the install cost. of the pad and the utility tree that's going to be required, the hookups to utilities, and the $439 a month is we're able to go all the way out to a 30-year loan to keep the payment down if that's what you want, because you could probably rent this thing for like $1,000, $1,200 a month in the Inland Empire, or put grandma in it, or a kid come back from school, or whatever the use would be for an ADU. And I can deliver that home to you. That I can do it with a 1/2 ton or 3/4 ton truck. It can go to your site. I can pour a concrete pad. I can connect it to utilities. I can do all of this legally, and you can only live in it 3 days a month. That's the barrier.
What? 3 days a month?
Yes. So that's the problem is municipal code right now, and it's actually sheriff code I found out recently. Municipal code only allows a consumer to stay in a vehicle on a residential property for 3 days.
So why is it considered a vehicle if you're putting it on a pad and you're putting something down and flashing? Why isn't it more like a mobile home, manufactured home, something along those lines?
So one of the issues with Dodd-Frank is you have the limitations of lending based on let's say a home that was registered with HCD, right? With the housing authority. Mm-hmm. You would have a home registered with the housing authority requires you to comply with all of Dodd-Frank. We're a DMV registered vehicle, which means we're lending auto title paper. So we're under a California finance lender license. So much more liberal. It's the ones, the loans where people get like sort of payday advances on their car.
Right, because you can't get a loan on typically anything that could be driven away or pulled away if you're doing an FHA loan or Fannie or Freddie.
Yeah, it has to be anchored and tires have to be removed and all that stuff, right? So in our case, we have stabilizer jacks and leveling jacks, and we put skirting around it, but it is truly like a mobile home in a park, except it's actually mobile, because mobile homes, we all know, aren't really mobile. They cost $6,000 to $10,000 to move, which it can completely make somebody homeless because of the, quote, lack of mobility of a mobile home.
Mm-hmm. So how are you getting around that restriction of the 3 days per month?
So right now the goal is sort of go to the Uber model, like install it.
Uber model?
Yeah, install it and ask for permission later.
Well, I'm sure that they don't have a whole bunch of fleets of police people inspecting backyards or
no, they really don't.
knocking on doors.
So it's
not that we want to encourage that, but
well, it's a code enforcement issue.
Evolving, right?
It is, and every city has it on the docket, like locally, and the state has already said they're not going to get involved. The municipalities are supposed to handle it themselves. So these don't require a change to building code. They don't require you to get any new building permits beyond what already exists. You can already get a permit for a concrete pad, and you can already get a permit for a utility tree. Those exist within every city. And when you add new building code, that requires a whole new survey, and this doesn't have that problem. I'm sure if you own rentals, you're aware of the rental programs that cities have where they require you to pay a fee every year for an inspection.
Yes.
Okay.
Both in state and out of state.
Out of state too. Mm-hmm. Oh, I haven't bought out of state.
If there's a city can make some money a little bit by charging a fee, they'll do it.
It's funny you say that. You figure the incentives would be in our favor, because what we're proposing is a temporary occupancy permit, because they exist now for 15 days. Mm-hmm. We're proposing a 365-day temporary occupancy permit with an annual inspection, just like a rental, because people are concerned about blight. Like, let's say you park an RV instead of like a tiny home in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And there's a fee, let's say $300 a year or something like that, whatever a city's fee would be, where code enforcement goes out and just inspects the property and says, yes, looks like the home, looks like the structure next to it, it's painted, it's clean, there isn't blight. All right, we'll issue another 365 days of occupancy.
So you're actually working with city councils or municipalities to move that along?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better. In Hollywood, where I live, there are unfortunately tons of homeless people, but you also see an enormous amount of travel trailers, or even the ones that are campers built on the top of a truck. And you know that there's people living in there. That is their home.
Yep.
And I've seen that in other places too. Plus, if you are living in a neighborhood that has an HOA or some kind of an owners association, they will have a restriction that you can't have any kind of a travel trailer parked in your driveway or in your yard for X number of days, right? Because they have these different restrictions. And also in Hollywood, you have to move that thing like every 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, that's the issue. So that 3-day code, that sheriff code is the same thing. It's apparently it's a statewide thing. Like parked in one location, living in it, whatever. Mm-hmm. That's why they can come by and mark your tires and say it can't be there beyond 72 hours. And so that's the thing everybody's leaning on. Now that code can stay in place if there was a temporary city permit, but sort of all throughout LA, especially in Orange County, LA, we're seeing a lot of people living in RVs. And if the unfortunate part is so our trailers are $50,000. A $50,000 RV typically isn't like a like a Monaco that has the porcelain toilet and tile floors and whatever, right? They're scabbed together with siding, and they're not amazing. It's not an amazing product over the course of 3 years, right? They break down when somebody lives in them full time. We're building ours all out of 2x4 construction, interior and exterior, solid siding. I mean, the thing is going to be built just like a home with a 100-year lifespan. And the cities are sort of looking at RVs or tiny homes like, yeah, this is kind of a shanty. And what they're seeing when they're talking to us and we're showing them our model, saying, well, look at this. And they go, well, that's what we're looking for. So they're just fighting how to create the code.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially in Orange County, So it's almost like the technology and the idea is driving what is going to have to change in the cities or the municipalities to address the housing problem.
Yeah, it seems like that's, and there are multiple solutions to this issue, right? We have $3.5 million homes or 3.5 million homes short in California. If we're 3.5 million homes short, one company could not ever meet that
You couldn't
solution.
possibly meet that capacity.
So you need garage conversions, you need ADUs, you need tiny homes, you need every possible version of solution to meet that demand.
Well, you mentioned Amazon earlier, and it's not that I'm wanting to give them props or
Sure.
anything, but I have been getting a whole lot of those feeds, and they're saying, oh, it's a great thing. You can get your DIY, do-it-yourself kit.
Yep.
Buy a tiny home kit, right? And then you can build it in your garage, in your backyard, rather, not your garage. And it costs anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000.
Yep.
And we're talking 76 square feet at the low end, which is basically a shed,
Yeah.
You're talking 76 square feet. That would be where I put my lawnmower. And at the top end, I think it's about 280 square feet, maybe 300 square feet.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between what they're offering and selling, or their suppliers are, and what you guys are doing?
So what if you notice so let's take the unit that just sold out that everybody's talking about, that was $8,000. So that unit was a 10 by 10 box, and that 10 by 10 box meets every city's code, right? It's a shed because it's a 10 by 10 building, which means you don't have to get a building permit to put it in.
Okay.
And if you notice, it also has a patio. It has another 10 by 10 patio. Now, every single person is going to obviously convert that patio into something else because it has a base.
No doubt.
But they can sell it legally the way it is. I mean, you can obviously sell anything you want, but you can install it legally the way it is. And then after somebody comes by and looks at it and goes, yeah, it looks fine, you can convert it to whatever you want. They don't have plumbing. They don't have kitchens. They don't have anything. It's just a box.
You're saying they have no toilet?
There's nothing.
No plumbing? What about electricity?
Nothing.
Nothing. So if they wanted to wire, so somebody could actually put a light in their lamp or a toilet, what would that take? Or is it even possible?
Well, so it would require a building permit because you're
okay.
tying into plumbing, you're tying into electrical, you're tying in whatever. I mean, what are you going to do? Run a little Honda generator and put a porta-john on the thing?
Yeah, not exactly the safe or desirable way of doing
Nobody
things.
wants that as a neighbor. So the main concern is how do we contain a solution that is easily affordable, easily transportable, and is appealing looking, to the neighborhood. And one of the things in design, right? Most homes are either built with a hipped roof or conventional stacked roof, where you expect to see like 2 or 4 gables. And when you think of like a grandmother's quarters, a casita, a secondary unit, you think of like a 4-sided roof, nice straight walls, lots of windows, and a lot of these solutions are like single pitch roof, lofts, stuff that doesn't allow for a person that's handicapped to live in. The solutions they fit like one person's vision, and they're not ubiquitous. And so when you create a housing solution, you need to think of it as ubiquitous as possible, and that's why building code's written the way it is, right? Like openings for, there's ADA requirements, and there's also minimum square foot requirements for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's so interesting. There's so many things that go into it. We'll talk about that a little bit when we come back. This is Julie Talks Money. I'm here with Stephen McKee, and this is KCAA 1050 AM radio. If you have any questions, call 323-238-9722. That's 323-238-9722. 323-238-9722.
If you want to sell your home, any agent can put a sign in your yard. Which agent is going to actually sell your home for the most money? Well, it's Rudy Kasuma. Rudy will sit down with you. You agree on a price and a deadline. If the deadline passes and the home isn't sold, he will buy your home guaranteed. If your house doesn't sell, Rudy will buy it as is for a price acceptable to you. Rudy sold a home in the San Gabriel Valley for $22,000 over asking price after only 10 days on the market. Call Rudy Kasuma now, 855-RUDY-SELLS. That's 855-783-9735. Or go to rudyhasthebuyers.com. That's rudyhasthebuyers.com.
We all know money doesn't grow on trees, but you can grow your wealth every Saturday at 11 a.m. with Julie Phelan. Julie and her guests have a wealth of knowledge to help you gain more wealth. Your financial future can be bigger than your past. If you need to build fast cash or passive income or long-term wealth, each Saturday at 11 a.m. for Julie Talks Money, right here on NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And now on Alexa, play KCAA.
And welcome back. We are here at KCAA 1050 Radio. I'm Julie Phelan, your host of Julie Talks Money. And I'm here with Stephen McKee, who is co-founder of the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. We've been talking about his new business model using tiny homes and ADUs as an additional thing for investors to if they want to add some kind of a rental property to the back. But I want to talk a little bit now about your club, because I understand it's either the largest and one of the fastest growing investment clubs here in Southern California. And we were talking a little bit ourselves about how people spend 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 50,000 even for some of these education courses, and the people who come through town and say, oh, come, we'll tell you how to do all this stuff. But in my personal experience, and I'm sure in yours too, the actual more valuable way of finding out about tiny houses or who's doing that or what's happening in the market is through joining a real estate investment club, or at least attending.
Absolutely.
So how long have you had this club?
So we started this club in September 2014.
Oh, wow, 5 years then, almost.
Yeah,
4.5 years.
We picked up from a club. Another guy was running a club out of Corona, and he quit doing it, and he'd done it for like a decade or so. And so I went to him and said, hey, you going to do one again? He said, no, it's okay. We're going to start one. You good? He said, yep. So we sort of got his blessing, that we weren't competition, and started our own.
That's great. So what is your coverage area? Or how many people, where do people come from?
Well, so there's nearly 5,000 members now, but the meeting attendance is somewhere between the smaller meetings at the local shops are somewhere around 20 to 50 people. Our larger main meetings around 150 people every month. And people come from all over Southern California, depending, and it depends the industry, right? If you're a lender or some kind of affiliate, like you're going to probably come from farther. But one of the things that's odd is our Saturday morning coffee, which was this morning. I've had people come from like regularly every month from San Diego, from LA, because they say they don't want to drive to the Inland Empire for the traffic on the weekdays.
No kidding. So what is that you do with this coffee thing?
So this morning, it's just a meet and greet. The only way to describe the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club is it's AA for real estate people, right? It's a support group for addicts. Like you have to be kind of crazy to be in this industry. You've likely failed out of something, or you just absolutely can't be hired by somebody because you just want to work for yourself.
So not entrepreneur-minded and independent-minded.
Yeah, you just nothing could contain you, right? And so the Saturday morning coffee is just a meet and greet where everybody gets together and we just talk. It's just we coffee and pastries are included, and we just kind of hang out and talk about whatever's going on, and everybody kind of sits around and shares solutions and like this share solutions. And this morning, I think there were like 40-something people there. It ranges between like that one between 30 and 70 people.
That's a lot. Do you talk about different properties that are available, or different, lenders? Do they come also?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah. So in this case, this is completely unorganized. It's just that you go to you check in, and then you find your group, and the idea is to sort of mill around and network.
Yeah. You said local shops too. What do you mean by that? Do you have different areas that you have little meetings at?
So this one is at Lift Coffee on Chicago, and we used to do it at a bunch of different coffee shops.
In Redlands only?
This is in Riverside. Everything we do is in Riverside.
Okay.
And that we ended up there because it's like a big warehouse, and at 8 a.m. we pretty much have the place to ourselves.
That's pretty nice, yeah.
So and you can be loud, and we were at Molino's in downtown Riverside, and the echo became so loud that anybody with hearing aid devices couldn't talk to their neighbor.
So, I used to run a real estate investment club. I don't know if you know that. I was a co-founder of the Real Estate Club in Action, the Real Estate CIA.
CIA.
It was out in Burbank. We ran that
right
for about 2 or 3 years. Yeah, so I understand the challenges of running a club and doing it, but I also understand and totally believe in the value of one and the network, because they always say that whether you're investing for yourself or you just suddenly inherited 5 properties you don't know what to do with them, or you're an agent or you want to get into it, that the power of a team is key, and in having a team is necessary, and finding people who are like-minded as opposed to a real estate agent says, "Oh, I don't want to deal with investors." You've heard of those? You know?
Yeah, it's the building the team, right?
Right, building a team. You have to do that, and you have to find those people. And
Yeah.
where else can you find them more easily than at a gathering of people who are
Yeah, sort of
all in
raising
the
their
industry.
hand, saying like, "I'm here to help."
right?
That's
Or
the
I'm a title person. I work in escrow. I do hard money loans, or I do regular mortgage loans.
No,
or-
it's absolutely. Like that's, in fact, one of the ways we set up sponsorship for the club was we only took a person from each category. So it was like, here's the title, here's the escrow, here's the whatever. So that like people show up and they're sort of handed a team. And now you'll
How
decide.
nice.
Well, like because you'll decide over time if you like the person or not, right? Like you're not going to like everyone we like. So you may hate our title company or whatever, fine. But at least you started with something and said, here's your team.
And you don't need somebody to pay you $20,000 to be able to
Turns out,
find that
no.
team, right?
You just
Isn't that
show
amazing?
up for the whatever door charge, the nominal door charge we charge. And I it's that thing almost pencils in. So I'm sure you know that like running a club gets expensive.
They can, yeah.
We've spent at least $50,000 a year out of our own pocket building that thing for the last 4 or 5 years now. It's just when we created a membership last year to sort of help pay the overhead. It's just now about to pencil. So this isn't a profitable thing. It's really about like community, and in the end, don't get me wrong, like deals came through to us that we wouldn't have got otherwise. But it's really about community. And then when we started it, at some point we thought, we could attract investors, or we could will this and will that. And then like 6 months in, we realized we were along for a ride that we weren't expecting.
Yeah, that's it. And it's kind of like with the ADUs, and you want to help people. That's how to solve a problem, as well as doing something that makes some money. With the club, you can help other people solve their problems, whether it's finding joint venture partners or lenders or those other people for the team. And sometimes even the moral support, like you should say, the AA support. I don't want to say
You
that.
want to
but,
pick up a phone and say, hey, please help.
Yeah, exactly. And then can they find you? You're on the web, or
whenever I say this domain, I hate it, but it's Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club.org or IEREIC.org. We have the short version.
Okay. You're on Meetup too, aren't you?
We're on Meetup. The easiest place to find us is on Meetup Direct. You can go to Meetup and just search Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club.
It's amazing what Meetup has done for all the different things and the different clubs.
So they flew us out. Meetup reached out to us and flew us out as like one of the top 150 clubs in
No
the world.
kidding. Wow, that's great.
They paid for us to go out to New York, and we sort of talked about the culture and toured the facility, and did a bunch of teamwork together for like three days. It has been fantastic for anybody who wants to organize. I mean, that is. And its indexes so well. It's just I couldn't say enough about it.
It is, yeah. I was teaching a class for the last couple of years through Meetup, and it was beginning real estate investing in Los Angeles, and it was kind of cool to be able to do that. And they have a connection with WeWork also. So some of the seminars that I'm doing in the next few months for beginning real estate investors or some experienced ones are pretty much going to be through WeWork.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
And through Meetup. So maybe I can come talk to your club and some people about that.
Yeah,
We can
absolutely.
talk about
And
doing
I
stuff
was talking to
together.
Todd about you being on the radio show there too, to sort of make people aware of the radio show Todd does here on KCAA. But like those classes are so needed, like when they're not $50,000, right?
Right.
I think it's important to distinguish that, because people say like, oh, don't go to $50,000 seminar, and they say come to my course. Well, look, there's an old Jack Miller philosophy on what a course should cost, and it's not $50,000.
Right. $50,000 will get you a down payment on a house out here.
Exactly. Yeah, don't do that.
No, that's it. That's it. I really appreciate your coming, Stephen. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And again, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, they can call me, and I can get them to you. 323-238-9722. And we're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit. But I look forward to talking to you some more at another time. Really. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
So at the top of the show, I mentioned a couple that I met named William and Haley, who identify as millennials. They have a student debt. They're working freelance in entertainment and have some idea of what to do with their income, but not much idea of what to do for the future and whether they even want a house or not, given how pricey everything is in LA and how mobile they might want to be. But you're talking about affordability, like Stephen was talking about. It's pretty difficult, but rents are sky high too. You could move out here and it would be much cheaper. You could save some money, but if they're in Burbank or in entertainment, they don't want to do that right now. But the first thing that I would tell any millennial is you have the greatest opportunity right now to have the most money at retirement than anyone, more than me, more than Steven, more than most people that I encounter, because you have time on your side. You have time and the magic of something called compound interest. So if you don't even if you don't make that much, you can still put away $1,000 or $1,500 into a stock or a fund or a Roth IRA each year, and you can potentially turn that into $1 million over 50 years, 55 years. Now, let's say you do $25 a week. That's about 5 lattes or cappuccinos, right? But that would get you $100 a month. That would get you $1,200 a year. The best way to do that, I find, is to use apps like Stash or Acorns. You can use Robinhood. That's an okay thing to use, except that's going to be more directly into stock investing. Acorns is pretty cool because I'm sure you've heard of the concept of rounding up, and some of the things with your credit card, they want you to round up your whatever it is that you're paying for, even if it's your latte or cappuccino. If it's $4.58, that extra 42 cents will go into an account. You can do that really easily with Acorns, and it's like you don't even know the money is going anywhere, so you're not going to miss it. So you can check that out. It's kind of like using Google Wallet or Apple Pay, but you're paying yourself instead. It's the concept of squirrels signing up and saving their acorns for a rainy day. Stash uses a little bit more. It's more for stocks and crypto, so there's a definite learning curve there. I know a lot of millennials are interested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I would just caution everybody on that right now because it's a pretty wild ride when you look at that. Robinhood, again, like for stock trading, you can check it out. Also, and the second big thing that I would tell you is don't get sucked into the ads that pop up on your phone all the time like they do on mine saying, hey, I've got a terrific deal for you. It's a cashback credit card. It sounds great. But for every $100 you charge on the card, which means go into debt with, you get back maybe $2 or maybe $5, which is 2% or 5% interest, but you're still paying 16% interest on that charge, on the money you're charging. So instead of 16, okay, you're going to get 2% back, right? So you're still paying 14% to the bank. Sounds great, but that money you allegedly get back is really your own money. So don't fall for that and don't get sucked into that. If you want to do something, go to EDC or Insomniac, get money back on your card. That sounds like a great idea? No, it doesn't really work that well. If all you're doing is paying the bank or the credit card company 12 or 15% instead of the regular higher rates, but don't think you're still making a good profit on you, you bet they are. Absolutely. So wouldn't you like to get a 10 to 15% return on your money all the time like they do? Well, I would. And hopefully you would too. And to do that, keep listening to Julie Talks Money as we address different topics each week to help you grow your money, double, triple it, save it, keep it. That's the main thing. Call anytime 323-238-9722 for questions or to get in touch with Steven or to call me. Tell me what you would like me to talk about and to address and find out how you can grow your net worth through owning a home or renting a home or having a rental property or an additional dwelling unit or even renting one. Thanks for joining us. This is Julie Phelan at Julie Talks Money at KCAA Radio, 1050 AM. Again, 323-238-9722 is the number. That's 323-238-9722. Julie Talks Money, 323-238-9722. I'll check with you next week. Look forward to have a great week.
If you want to sell your home, any agent can put a sign in your yard. Which agent is going to actually sell your home for the most money? Well, it's Rudy Kasuma. Rudy will sit down with you. You agree on a price and a deadline. If the deadline passes and the home isn't sold, he will buy your home guaranteed. If your house doesn't sell, Rudy will buy it as is for a price acceptable to you. Rudy sold a home in the San Gabriel Valley for $22,000 over asking price after only 10 days on the market. Call Rudy Kasuma now, 855-RUDY-SELLS. That's 855-783-9735. Or go to RudyHasTheBuyers.com. That's RudyHasTheBuyers.com.
We all know money doesn't grow on trees, but you can grow your wealth every Saturday at 11 a.m. with Julie Phelan. Julie and her guests have a wealth of knowledge to help you gain more wealth. Your financial future can be bigger than your past. If you need to build fast cash or passive income or long-term wealth, each Saturday at 11 a.m. for Julie Talks Money, right here on NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. And now on Alexa, play KCAA.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts